can hear you, but there is a lot of commotion here, Rhythm, because the Shiv Sena celebration is continuing. They have now got a band with Dhols here, in addition to the fireworks that were on show a little while earlier. There are large Shiv Sena flags being waved here, and I think the reason for the uptick in the number of people here is because there were two protests, there were two gatherings going on. One was at Matoshri, the other was at Navneet Rana's residence. Now the entire Matoshri focus has also shifted to Navneet Rana's residence, and there is a big show of strength and a show of celebration here ongoing, because the Ranas have been unable to go forward with their plan of going to Matoshri and reciting the Hanuman Chalisa from there. And right now we are bringing you the shots of what the Shiv Sena is observing as its victory. For a long time there was sloganeering going on here. We have heard repeated volleys of the slogans of the Shiv Sena. There was also a shank here that was being sounded regularly on intervals. Now that the area has been enveloped in a sort of shade, the sun is no longer bearing down on the people here directly. There is a large mass of people who has gathered here, and they seem unwilling to stop their protest at any cost. The police, I must say, has increased the barricade presence right in front of the Rana residence. On your right is the gate, and there is not much distance between the protesters and the Rana compound. And you can see these barricades have been put up to prevent anyone from encroaching or to prevent too many people from gathering here. The police presence here remains as strong as it has been all day. They have been standing here against the compound wall, not allowing anyone to go in or the Ranas to come out. Hence, the Ranas have been saying that they are under house arrest, because in fact it was the police that first told them at 9 o'clock in the morning that they can't go to Matoshri. They will not be allowed to proceed. And since then they have been remained on the 8th floor of their residence where they live. And Rhythm, another thing we can also tell you is that they have been given a choice of taking a flight out of Mumbai and heading back to Amravati. I believe the flight is at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. So there is an expectation that the Ranas may come out of their house, and that is why the decibels here are most definitely increasing. There are flags, there are firecrackers, there is a senior Yuva Sena leader here, a secretary, his name is Varun Sardesai, he's here. They had just a short while earlier hoisted him onto their shoulders, and he had led the first part of the sloganeering, while the rest of the Shiv Sainiks had continued it. Meanwhile, there are also a clutch of women Shiv Sainiks here who have been sloganeering non-stop for hours now. The band coming here is a recent occurrence. It's just been about 10 minutes since the band got here, and now they're all being asked to move aside because there is a police van that wants to drive across. Remember, this is a street normally that connects two important roads in Khar West in Mumbai, and so the traffic is obstructed here. We've seen repeatedly at least pedestrians and also people on their bikes complaining about how they haven't been able to pass through this area, and in fact some of them have made the decision of getting into this road and then not been able to get out. So that's where we stand at the moment. There is an increasing amount of police presence here. More officers are being brought in. Simultaneously, Rhythm, I can also tell you that the ambulance that the Shiv Sena had bought here as a prop to give an indication of where the Ranas will be if they go ahead with their Matoshri plan has been taken away, because it was simply occupying too much space. And now I think there is an effort to have some of the space freed and to have some of the people dispersed, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. And there is a chance now, Rhythm, I can also tell you that the police van that just passed us, it has gone and parked right in front of the gate. And so there is every chance that this could be the time when the Ranas step out, because they are to be taken to the airport is what we are given to understand. And the police will shepherd them themselves to the airport. And so there has been, over the last 5-10 minutes as we've been showing you, the barricading has changed here. And now the police van that just passed us, which you saw passing us on your cameras right now, has parked itself right in front of the main gate. And we are expecting perhaps for the Ranas to come out now, because they are to be driven to the Mumbai airport by the police themselves. They will be escorted and shepherded there so that nothing untoward can happen. The police has taken responsibility for their safety and to ensure, of course, that nothing untoward happens there. And I think the final act in this day-long saga with regards to the Ranas' warning, or rather their decision to try and go to Matoshri, the Thackeray residence, and recite the Hanuman Chalisa there, has reached a concluding climactic stage right perhaps the Ranas emerge from their residence, it may not be for very long, and there is a considerable Shiv Sena presence here waiting for them. It remains to be seen whether this vehicle that has just turned up here, whether it could go inside the building also. There is some amount of space in the ground floor parking where perhaps the Ranas could be escorted and ushered into the vehicle without having to come outside their compound. Because most certainly then there will be a larger amount of excitement in the Shiv Seniks here, and I think the police is trying to avoid that from happening. Right now, more barricades are being brought in. The police cordon has now shifted from the compound to the edge of the barricade. So their motive right now is to prevent anyone from outside getting in while this vehicle proceeds unhinderedly. We are bringing you these visuals right now live from Khar, the Navneet Rana and Ravi Rana residence, and they live in the 8th floor of this building that we have been reporting outside for since the morning, and where the Shiv Seniks have been here also since the morning. There is a Dhols celebration here. There is a 5-person drum band that has been brought here, and they're helping the Shiv Seniks here continue and add rhythm to their celebrations, and their sloganeering is also set to continue. There is a large amount of flag waving also going on, and as you can see, viewers, the police van that we believe is to take the Ranas to the airport is trying to make its way inside the building. There is a crunch of space because half of the road has been taken up by the protest, and it's a large vehicle, so it's having to pivot its way and do a back and forth so that it can try and get in, because clearly I think the consensus is that the police believe that the Ranas cannot be allowed to come out and in effect be exposed here, and for the Shiv Seniks to be exposed to them either, because there is a large amount of people here and there is a lot of exuberance here as well. And so right now, as you can see, everyone is being moved aside. The Shiv Senic celebration is being moved aside. We are also being asked to just push back a little bit while the vehicle continues to do its back and forth so that it can drive into the compound. I think it may be on the verge of completing that, viewers. Let's take you back to the start. At 9 o'clock is when Navneet Rana was supposed to take out her protest to Matoshri, the Thackeray residence, and was going to make a point there in front of the watching nation in the midst of the Hanuman Chalisa and loudspeaker debate, the larger debate. However, the Shiv Seniks reached here first, and they made a show of strength while they also remained and retained a presence at Matoshri. And now it has reached this throughout the day. We have seen sloganeering, we've seen protests by the Shiv Seniks. Eventually, Navneet Rana and Ravi Rana were not able to go to Matoshri, and the police gave them an option of taking a flight out of Mumbai, which I believe is what they are going to do now. Another vehicle is now moving in to their residence and to the compound. Rhythm, we continue to bring you these shots.
All right,
to escort them, Rhythm.
All right, Ankit, I want to continue staying with you because what you're giving us is a very visual representation of what's happening in the state of Maharashtra, where we are seeing at Navneet Rana's residence the protests continue unabated despite the fact that they have called off the protest that was there at Matoshri. We've also seen that there's possibly an ambulance that's already standing there. We've also seen how Devendra Fadnavis, former Maharashtra Chief Minister, has said that this is politicization, it is wrong what Chief Minister is doing, and there is a concentration that needs to be on other issues other than this. So a lot of updates that are coming in from there, Ankit. I also want to ask you, who are the people? The Shiv Seniks are gathered there. We can see the celebrations. We can see also, Ankit, the ambulance is now making way. It's possibly going right to the front. It's going inside the gates, I believe, Ankit.
Absolutely. I think that is the effort right now, Rhythm, because they don't want the Ranas to have to step out of their compound, and they don't want the Shiv Seniks to actually catch a glimpse of them. We've been showing you this building all day. This building on the 8th floor, I believe, is where they stay. And while from the balconies, one or two of the residents have poked their heads out, the Ranas flat, no one has showed their face. So I think that is something that the police want to avoid right now at all costs, because there are just so many people here. There have been police persons and media persons all day, but the number of Shiv Sainiks here has swelled in the last hour and a half. We were here right next to them when they burst out in celebration. First, they were clapping because that's when they found out that Ravi Rana has called off his plan to go to Matoshri. Then a short while later, the number of people here increased. A couple of known leaders also came here. Varun Sardesai, a youth secretary of the Yuva Sena, was hoisted on people's shoulders, and he led the sloganeering here for a while, a good 10 minutes of sloganeering that was. Then there were also fireworks here from the about 50 meters from where we are. We saw fireworks exploding, and we got those also on camera as well. And then right after that, the band and the Dhols also arrived there. You see that the Shiv Sainiks are